Hey, is anyone here right now? Hello, hello. Just getting everything started up and making sure it's working. Let me know if you can hear me. I don't use OBS that much. No, 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 not you. Oh, this is not the time for you. Okay, let me copy this. Hello, hello. Nope, that's not what I wanted. If you can hear me, let me know. Can you hear me? Hello, hello? Hello, hello. Oh, you can hear me now? Okay, cool. Sorry, this is why I had this up 10 minutes early, so I can figure this out. Because everyone else has been having trouble with YouTube today. So I just wanted to know if I needed to go to Twitch or somewhere else. So, cool. Thank you guys for letting me know. Um, so yeah, we got this going on. Yeah, just hang out. I'm not going to officially start until the time is right, just so everyone has a chance to finish up panels and stuff like that. But I just like to be over prepared, even though I'm not. So we'll see how it goes. I have shit lighting in this room. But yeah, let me go ahead and grab that link again and get it all set up. How's everyone's SAHcon going? I think I'm in B. I've looked at my schedule and what channel I'm in like 1,000 times. Yeah, I'm in B. Okay. Um, okay, cool. We got a couple people coming in. That's nice. Um, Yeah, the one before this one is, I don't know how to say the name, Lalo. Um, so, so I'm sure it's gonna take a minute for, let's see. Okay, it looks like we have some keyframes issue. Um, yeah, no, it's pretty gay. Like, I got it all set up there so you guys can have some nice background stuff. Um, these are literally all the gay moments I could find in Homestuck. So well, and then there are some girl moments in there too. So girls and gays, that's what this is. So I really don't think any of these images are going to repeat. I mean, I have it on shuffle, but I don't think it loop. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, you guys can check that out. Um, but yeah, I'm going to give it a bit because it was the Lalo before this one in channel B. So I figure I'm going to let people like do with that before come over here. I mean, I still have like 3 minutes before I start anyway. Let me know if there's any technical issues. It's saying that it can cause buffering. My keyframes might be causing buffering. I don't know enough about streaming to know what that means. Let me see. So yeah, this is the time to fix out all the bugs and errors and everything. So hit me up with whatever and I'll try to fix it. Service. I don't know, everything's looking pretty good on my end. I don't know what YouTube's problem is. Oh no. There we go. Oh, whoops. Now I think I'm a few seconds behind. Shoot. Max bitrate. Oh, it's the keyframe. Okay, I'm gonna try to stop and start again real quick because I feel like we went back in latency. Like I feel like it's longer than it should. So just hold on. I'm still here. I'm just gonna stop and start again real quick. And if all else fails, I'll just deal with having to wait a little bit for you guys to know what I'm saying. No, that's not what I did. Okay. Okay, I think that fixed it a little bit. I mean, there's still going to be some latency, obviously, but I think it's good. Okay, yeah, so let me make sure that everything's ready in the actual panel. I think they're still setting stuff up. I just want to make sure everything's set up before I actually start with things so people have a chance to come in here. So they're still switching around the panel rooms. But yeah, in the meantime, how's everyone's SAHcon so far? Okay. Looks like B is up. Oh yeah, it's been pretty wild. It's been crazy. I had no idea what to expect from this. Okie dokie. Okay, they're still updating the panel list. So let me hold off on that for a little bit, just until it get that updated. Get that link again and post it on Twitter. Yeah, no, we definitely need a fan community like this. I really like it that everyone just get together and share things. It is a lot of fun. And I'll try to pay attention to both the chat here and the Discord. So whichever you guys prefer. Obviously, if you're here, you probably prefer the YouTube chat, but I don't know. So we got that, and we got... Let's just double check this again. Okay, current panels still aren't updated. Okie dokie. Okay, I'm glad you guys are excited for this panel. I'm excited to talk about it. Okay, I have it linked up everywhere. It looks like people are starting to filter in. Yeah, I mean, I gotta get you with the gay. I'm glad you chose this. There are a lot of good panels out there. I know that I saw some of the panels that I'm gonna be next against this time slot, and I'm like, man, I wanted to watch those. So thank you guys for coming. So this is actually an hour-long advertisement for my podcast. No, I'll actually talk about gays and girls. It is part of my podcast, but I won't. I'll plug it at like the beginning and the end, and that's like it. So just a brief introduction, just so you guys know who I am. My name is Jackie, or Jax. Jackie is already a taken name as far as known Homestucks go, I guess. So I guess I'm Jax now. And I do a podcast called Jax Says Homestuck. And I kind of do different sections for Jax Says Homestuck. And my first two sections, I just find different ways to talk about Homestuck. My first two sections were I go through and I find every gay moment in Homestuck. And the second one was I see how often Homestuck passes the Bechdel test. So I still think about those things a lot. And I thought it would be a good time to talk about it now because this is here. So yeah, let's go lesbian. So we'll definitely talk about that. I'll try not to focus too much on the boys, though there's definitely going to be some boy focus because you can't have a panel about gays without talking about Dave Cat. So yeah, so thank you guys for joining me. I'll try to keep this on topic. I didn't rehearse a lot beforehand, so hopefully I have like little times to let me know how I'm doing. And like I said, this is being recorded, it's being saved, it will be up on YouTube after this is done, and I might also have it up on my podcast channel when it's done. So so you guys are good. So if you have to like drop out or go anywhere else, like I'm not encouraging you to leave, but if you need to, I get it, you'll be able to watch it again. So yeah, and there's going to be a Q&A section at the end. So if you have any questions, keep those in mind, and I will try to get back to them. If we have like a lot of times in the sections, I might get to them then, if you post them. But yeah, so there is going to be a Q&A section at the end. I tried to save some time for it, so hopefully that goes well. So I'm going to start off with the Bechdel test. So I called it Girl Stuck, and what I did was, and I actually have a YouTube video on this channel of me showing the Excel spreadsheet I did to count up how many times two female characters in Homestuck had a conversation that was not about a boy. So the issue with that is, well, does Jasper's count as a boy? Like, he's a boy cat, but he's a pet. Or these conversations are very, very long, and for most of them, they don't mention boys, but like down at the end, they mention a boy once. Do I count that? Or this page goes on, like, these are single individual pages where they say one line or two lines, but there is still a girl talking to a girl. Do I count that? So it's pretty subjective. And I'm not going to go through all the numbers or anything. I'm just going to go through who had the highest ratings. But just so you know, that's where I'm coming from with this. It's still kind of subjective. But I tried to do the best I can. I'm no Becca. I'm no Brian David Gilbert, but I did my best. So we'll start off with the characters who most often pass the Bechdel test. And so the first one is Jade, and she most often passes with Calliope and Jane. And if you think about Act 6, whenever we don't know if they're dead or what's going on, but they're having that dressing up as their troll sonas and telling the story with Calliope, like they have a lot of time where they just talk to each other, not about boys, about troll sonas and stuff, which is great. So so we have Jade, Calliope, and Jane. So Jade's the first one, and then the second one, as you might guess, is Calliope, and her top three, because so there's Jade, and then Roxy and Jane tied together for the top people she talked to. Number 3 is Rose, and I'm sure you can guess her number 1 is Kanaya, and then there's Terezi. Number 4 is Jane, and her top 2 are Jade and Calliope, and then it's a combo breaker with Vriska, and her top 2 are Mina and Terezi. So so just a lot of gay talking to each other. It's really great, and I was actually kind of surprised when it was getting towards the end, and Calliope and Jade just shot up as being the most talk to each other. But like, it makes sense when you go back and read it. So then we have the characters who least often pass. Now, when I'm looking at least often, I'm only looking at the core trolls and kids. I'm not looking at all the other female characters, because there'd be like, well, I mean, Nana Sprite and Nana Sprite and like Mother Sprite don't talk to each other, so they don't pass. So I'm trying to keep it there. And then with the Beforest trolls, since Mina is the only one who talks to any other girl Beforest troll without it being about a boy, then I'm not counting all of those, because all of them would be on there. But so number 5 is Safari. She least often talks to anyone not about boys. Number 4 is a tie between Latula and Nepeta. Oh yeah, I guess I did include the Beforest trolls on here, since they only talk to Mina. But yeah, no, Latula and Nepeta, then Porm, then Damara, then Mulin. So you see, they don't talk to anyone else. We don't get that, because it's all through Mina's perspective. And since Lord English is a boy, and she's talking about bringing Lord English down, like, it kind of revolves around that. So there's not a whole lot from the Beforest, from Openbound, but there was some. And and then we'll compare how often they talk in their groups, because it's kind of big when you're talking about the whole cast versus the whole cast. So the Beta Kids, Rose and Jade only talk to each other, not about boys, 3 times on 3 different pages. Which I know they didn't talk a lot, but that's still a lot lower than I expected. But then you look at the Alternian trolls, and let's see, I'm not going to go through all of those, because that would be quite a lot. But Aradia, the person Aradia most talks to among the Alternian trolls is Vriska, who she talks to 4 times, not about boys. But then I was being kind of subjective there. They had pages that had just tons and tons of conversation, and most of those weren't about boys, but then it mentioned like once. So again, this is kind of subjective. If you want to include just individual page by page, we're also going with Aradia and past Aradia, whenever she's explaining to herself, basically expositioning what happened in their session before we get to them as the meteor. So they talk to each other 17 times. So that's 17 separate pages of them just talking about not boys to, herself. So, and then we have, let's see, Nepeta most talks to Terezi and Vriska, but that's once each. And Kanaya most talks to Vriska, and that's 3 times. Terezi and Vriska, as I'm sure, most talk to each other, not about boys. And then Safari, only talks to Vriska, not about boys. That's it. Every other conversation she has with the girl is about boys. And then Vriska talks to herself for 4 pages, not about boys. So, but it's a lot better with the alpha kids because Jane and Roxy talk to each other for 13 pages, not about boys. So there's a lot more like girl talk there, and that's really great. And for the Alternian trolls, they kind of do a little bit better than a lot of the I wrote Alternian trolls twice on here. The Beforean trolls, Mina and Arania, I'm sure you can guess, have 7 conversations where they talk to each other, not about boys. And Mina and Latula are actually second on there, so that's really neat. I wasn't expecting that. But she has at least one conversation with every single one of them, not about boys, at some point. Well, at least one page, not the whole conversation. So, just ship Mina with everyone. Yes, you boys. Oh, are you guys not able to hear? I am seeing some of that in the panel. So sorry, I'm going to pause for a second, waiting to see if people can hear me. Okay, but most people are able to hear me. There's just one person that's having some difficulties. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure. I realized I forgot to look at the panel. I've been mainly looking at the YouTube chat, and I look over, it's like, oh, you can't hear it. I've been talking to myself. Okay, cool. So, with all that data, I will get to the more interesting part. I really hope that the background images are giving you something better to look at than just me talking about. And they talk 3 times together. But, so, based on that, I'm going to make shipping. I have a couple different sections for, I have the top 5 ships that everyone has to ship. And this is based on how often they talk to each other, not about boys. It's not based on how it actually is in the fandom or anything, but yeah, it's going to be based off of the data I gathered about, oh, well, they talk to each other this many times without boys, so they must be a popular ship. So we'll learn some things here. So the top 5 ships that, according to my data, everyone must ship. Number 1, Vriska and Mina. Number 2, Calliope and Jade. Number 3, Kanaya and Rose. Number 4, Jane and Jade. Number 5, Roxy and Calliope. And I have an honorable mention on here because Jane and Calliope was only 1 less than Roxy and Calliope. So, pretty close. Because there's the top 5, technically top 6. As you can see, only, like, 3 of these actually get shipped. I mean, technically, I don't really hear anyone shipping Vriska and Mina. Like, that's not really a thing. Everyone's all Vrisrezi. But those are the top 5 ships according to my data. Then we have normal ships, which are anyone who shipped, anyone who talked to each other less than 5 times about boys, like more than 1, less than 5. Rose and Terezi, Jade and Kanaya, which I think is the great ship that more people should talk about after writing this. Jade and Feferi, Jade and Jade Sprite. So I'm kind of pro shipping yourself with yourself because stuff's weird, but if you're not, that's fine. But some people are. It's yourself. Jade and Alt Calliope. Aradia and Aradia. Kanaya and Roxy. Then we have our Vrisrezi with Terezi and Vriska. Jane and Roxy. Calliope and Alt Calliope. And Aradia and Mina. So you can see most of that was just themselves with themselves. Yeah, sounds like Carcat. So then we have our rare pairs. Our other pairs, I said it was less than 5. It was actually anything greater than 5, but wasn't in the top 6. So our rare pairs are between 1 and 5. So our rare pairs are Rose and Jade, Rose and Aradia, Rose and Calliope, Rose and Mina, Rose and Jasper Sprite. So basically Rose and everyone else. And And yeah, then we have, oh yeah, we had a couple more here. So we have Jade and Roxy. Actually, there's a lot here. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. I'm not going to read through them all because that's a lot of information. So we got Rose with a lot of people, Jade and Roxy, Rady and Vriska, Kanaya with pretty much everyone else, Kanaya and Jasper Sprite. I'm just going to point out the ones that I think are kind of cool. So Kanaya and Jasper Sprite would be interesting. And then we have Vriska and Alt Vriska, so we have our completion of them with each other. Jane and Jasper Sprite, Roxy and Jasper Sprite, Calliope and Jasper Sprite. Love it. And then we have the ships that are basically just crack ships. And that's Rose and Nepeta, Jade and Arania, Aradia and Mina, Mulan and Mina, Nepeta and Terezi, which I resent because I do like Nepeta and Terezi together. Nepeta and Vriska, Kanaya and Terezi, and Porum and Mina. Nepeta and Terezi doesn't deserve to be on there, even though I'm the one who wrote it. And then the complete crack ships are literally everything else. Because they had no interactions with each other that wasn't about boys. Which I think is funny because I hear Feferi and Aradia is a really popular ship and they're just not on here at all. Yes, Aradia is great. I'm seeing a lot of Aradia love in here. So we have that. And that's kind of the end of the when focus section. You know what? I'm running a bit ahead of time here. So if anyone has any specific questions about the Bechdel test section of it, I mean, we'll stay and still talk about like female ships in this next part. But if you have any questions about this now, go ahead and shout them out, and I'll answer them for a bit because I'm running a bit ahead of schedule. So I'll just wait a second since there's a bit of a latency here. And if not, I'll just continue on. Personal, so my personal OTPs are, I mean, to say Rosemary is like a cop-out because that's everyone's. But yes, I shipped Rosemary from the very beginning, and I didn't expect it to become canon, and then it did, and then I cried. I do really like Vriska and Mina, but I do prefer it with older Vriska and Mina. But I also like Vrisrezi. I'm a multi-shipper. Like, I like Vriska with a lot of people. And I also like Calliope, Jade, Roxy, and Jane. Like, I think they just ship them all together. If I have I don't know who to just ship them all together. Is kind of how I go about things. And then I like Jasper Sprite with just about everyone, but someone recently sent me a prompt for Jasper Sprite and Jade, and that's fantastic together. My favorite female character is so hard because Kanaya was my icon for forever. And sorry if I'm jumping around here, I'm just picking out the question that I noticed most. But so my favorite is Kanaya was my icon for forever on a lot of things. Rose was my first favorite character, so there's that. But there's just like no bad female character. They're all great in their own ways. Like, I love Terezi, I love Risk, I love everyone. But I'd have to say it's probably Rose if I had to pick one. Oh, thank you. Yeah, so what inspired me to do this whole research thing? I don't know. I just wanted to see, like, obviously I knew that Homestuck would pass the Bechdel test, but I wanted to see how often, because Homestuck is such a great piece of work with such great female characters. Like, you don't get a cast of female characters like this anywhere else. Like, they're so strong and independent, but not all of them are, so they're just such a variety of characters, and they're all so good, and they're all so great together. And so, yes, so I decided that this was a great thing to research next after my gay section. So, and yes, Des Homestuck is gay, in fact. No, so this isn't including the epilogues. I did all this research before the epilogues came out. And yeah, the epilogues definitely does complicate it with Roxy's change in gender. So this is all pre-epilogues. I should have mentioned that from the beginning, because yeah, I don't want to include characters in here. That's why I didn't include Dave Petta, since Dave Petta is non-binary, but Nepetta's in there, and it's just I didn't want to include any characters in here. But again, I did all this research before the epilogues came out, and I did not want to go through and redo all my research, because that would just be a lot more questions. Like, it was hard enough with Vriska and parentheses Vriska. Like, at what point does parentheses Vriska start? So I just made it like Vriska talks to Vriska, instead of like trying to separate them out as characters and seeing who talks more. Because Homestuck's complicated, guys. Yeah, oh, hello, you're a bit late, that's fine. I have this recorded. I just finished talking about the girls. I still have a few minutes left for any more questions. Let me kind of search around and see if there's any more I see popping out. And yeah, crack ships are great. I don't mean to like crack ships are fantastic. I love everyone's creativity with shipping. And there's ships I never considered in my life, and then someone will talk about it or make art about it or something, and I'm like, yes, how was I not shipping this before? This is so obvious. Yes. And yeah, so let me go ahead and move on to the next section, which is we're just doing back to saying character ships in general. So yes, we're bringing boys back into it, but it's boys for boys, so we're not mixing the two. And so here's some ships that Jane Cat. Wow, sorry, I'm just like reading the comments now and I'm getting distracted. Jane Cat is something else. I have never heard about that. That is interesting. I'll have to give that more thought. It probably won't work post epilogues though, but especially in the Candy timeline. Oh, Era Roxy. See, I keep seeing that and I wasn't sure what it was, but so Aradia Roxy? Cool. Oh, Kismessitude, you're right. See, Homestuck accounts for everything. You guys are great. The Homestuck community is so great. You guys come up with so much stuff. Okay, so some same gender ships. So I made a post on Twitter that a couple of people responded to about what ships they wanted me to talk about. And I guess in the order I wrote this, I'm going to talk about the cursed one first, because that's just the order I wrote it down. So I'm sorry. John Gamzee is talking about crack ships I never thought about until someone brought it to my attention. Do they talk ever? I think that's a complete crack ship, because I don't think they talk ever. So, I mean, I guess I could see it as a Kismesses thing, maybe? I don't know. I really do want to see fiction with John talking to Gamzee, though, now. Well, I guess they do talk in the epilogues. Because it's just so... how would he deal with this weird clown? John and Gamzee kissed in a sound? Oh, yeah, Gamzee did put that creepy clown in John's room, you're right. Yeah, the Zillihu song. That's true. See, I've read Homestuck so many times and I still forget stuff. Yeah, so they might work as a Kismesses ship. John and Dave. Technically, no one requested this, but I think John, my friend John, would kill me if I did not talk about John Dave. And I love John Dave, because John is so gay, and he's gay for Dave, and Dave is gay for John, and they just don't figure their shit out in time, and then Dave Cat happens. So I love John Dave. And John Dirk, they talk once, and the funniest thing I ever saw someone say about John Dirk was that people saw, John saw Dirk, fade into oblivion because of the glitches, and then said, man, he was hot, can't wait to make out with him, which is true. But, so John Dirk, I like to think as John, still had the feelings for Dave, and they get reattached to Dirk, and then that's problematic, but then he realizes it's problematic, and then he comes to like Dirk for his own person, and kind of the opposite happens with Dirk and John being Dirk and Jake, and they just figure their shit out together. Yeah, no, there's so much in Homestuck, I can never remember it all. But it's great. And then Dave Carcat. I mean, we all know Dave Cat. Dave Cat's like legit now, y'all. Even though it so surprised me it wasn't before, I do not understand how Dave Cat was not canon before the epilogues, because to me, in Act 6, it was really clear it was. Um, but and then Dirk Jake's a really popular one. It's not my favorite. I like Dirk Jake content, but it's not my favorite. I love Dirk. I like Jake. It's not my favorite. Dirk and Caliborn. Yes. So, Caliborn is gay. Caliborn's gay. And that's just a fact. He loves Dirk so much. He's so attracted to Dirk. He's so attracted to powerful dudes, and he thinks so little about women, but he has this idea of what he's supposed to think about women, that like, he's gay, and he's just too up his own misogynistic dude bro ass to realize he's gay. But he's gay. I mean, technically he does say it in text because Jake makes him think that gay means what it doesn't mean. But yes, Caliborn is gay, and I can totally see Dirk and Caliborn being a thing. That's fantastic, and I'm sorry I did not think about it before. And Rose and Kanaya, everyone knows Rose and Kanaya. They're snarky to each other, and then they get together and they kiss, and they're wives, and I love it. When they kissed, I literally died. So this is actually a ghost talking to you. Dirk and Hal, I never thought about, because I really don't think I could ever be attracted to the brain I inserted into a thing when I was 13 that still contained a lot of the essence of when I was 13. Like, maybe Hal evolved on his own since then, but like the basis is him being 13 and then trapped in glasses. I don't know. I can't, because I was a piece of shit when I was 13, so I can't imagine ever liking that. Yeah, Gamtab is on here too. Gamtab I really like. I forgot about Gamtab. I was wondering why people shipped Gamtab, and then I reread it. I'm like, oh, because it's in the text. Gamtab is good. Maybe not current Gamzee, but the idea of Gamtab is good. Like, Tavros should just go over to Gamzee's place and make out a little. Like, it's just make out a little. Then Vriska and Terezi. I love Vriska and Terezi. I think they're kidding themselves saying that they're Morales in Act 6. But if they want to do that, that's fine, I guess. Oh man, you guys are just giving all the ships. Yeah. Yeah, because Halquias exists. I can't imagine Dirk and Halquias together. That would be something. And Cancro, I do like Cancro. I love Cancre. I know Cancre's a piece of shit, and I know Cronus is a piece of shit, and I love them. Of course, I become really good friends with Crow, like the person on Twitter, Crow, who made this whole thing, Crow. So Cronus has grown on me a lot. But I love Cancro. And Dirkquias. See, I just never think about some of these ships. You guys are just galaxy brained out here. And then we have Roxy and Calliope, which is great in canon and wonderful. And Eridan and Solux, which, if you might see in my description, I should have mentioned this for Dave Cat too, but in my description, I have links to two different servers. One is to an Aerosol server, and one is to, it's like primarily a Carcat server, but it's a lot Dave Cat. So check those out. If you like those ships, go there. And in the Aerosol server, there's also a bit of Cancro. So if you're into that. I do not ship Eridan and Kanaya. I don't know what you're on. This is a Gatecast anyway. So yeah, I like Eridan and Solux. I think it was fantastic that they were together. There's a lot of good conversation had on that that server that I linked. And yeah, Pale Romance is good. I love Pale Romance. It solves a lot of things. It makes me think about a lot of things, but that is not Vriska and Terezi. Ericard. Yes, I do like Eridan and Cardcat. I like Eridan with a lot of, I mean, I like Cardcat with everyone, basically. Like, Cardcat's great with a lot of people. Cronus and Matuna. See, I don't know enough about Matuna to comment on that. I'm really slow behind on the Before and Trolls. Dave Tav. Yeah, Dave Tav is good. There's stuff for Dave Tav. I love it. But yes. So, and then I'm going to just talk. I don't have a ton of headcanons for characters, but so I'm going away from like ships and stuff like that to talk about my personal headcanons for things and my personal interpretations of things, because this is my podcast / stream and I do what I want. So John, I love being bi, and he's very, very bi. He's very, very, very bi. And he doesn't want to acknowledge it because he just refuses to think about himself. Soulcat is good as well. Soulcat is great. I love Soulcat. Sorry, I'm just like checking in on the stream as I'm talking. But I mean, the most clear explanation for this is when Dave describes, I'm sorry, I'm going to get into some different gender stuff, but Dave describes his feelings for Terezi, and Karaket is like, yeah, that's classic black romance. And John's like, no, it's not. And Karaket's like, yes, it is. And John's like, okay, well, I'm just going to shove this away and never think about it ever again, because that would ruin my conception of myself, basically. So it's like, if something goes against what he thinks he is or should be, or the way the world should work, he just shoves it aside to not think about it. And that's why he's never realized he's bi, and I want him to figure it out one day. And I wrote a little tiny baby sad fic about it on my AO3. Dave, also bi. I didn't like Dave so much the first time I read it, but I love Dave now. His evolution of his perception of his masculinity and sexuality throughout the story, and it's fantastic, but it's frustrating, but also very valid that he and Karkat still managed to know home of each other until the end of one of the epilogues. It's great. Like, they talk about their feelings so much, but not about the important stuff sometimes. But yes, I love Dave a lot, and he's very bi, and I love it. And I actually wouldn't have minded I know I'm talking about different gender stuff again, but Jade, Karkat, and Dave, if they could have gotten their stuff together. But my ultimate ship is John, Dave, and Karkat. That's it. Yes, Pan Dave is good. Yeah, and Dave's character arc is revolutionary. It's fantastic. But John, Dave, Karkat, Dave and Karkat and John all have two hands, and they can all hold each other's hands, and it's great. And I love Rose because, like, you know, we have Dave struggling with his sexuality, John, I'm headcanon, refusing to struggle with his sexuality, and then Rose is just like, yeah, I like this alien girl, what up? So I just always headcanon her as a lesbian who always knew she was a lesbian, and that was just that. She's like, yes, I like this girl, and who is an alien, and I'm down, and we're married now. So here is going to be my hot take. So Jake, I think a lot of people wouldn't argue with me when I say he's pan, because he has a conversation in which he says that he used to joke with Dirk about, yeah, we totally date if you were a girl. And then he realized, does it really matter? Does gender really matter in this scenario? And so his pan, he just doesn't care about. Yeah, sorry, that is my fire alarm in the background. I should have mentioned at the beginning of the stream. I don't have a stool or a chair or anything, so that's just it in here. So sorry about that. But yeah, so Jake doesn't care about gender when it comes to relationships. He thinks it's kind of pointless. Arrow Jake, yes, you said it before I said it. Arrow Jake English, yes, because he has a conversation in which he is talking and says that he's talking to Roxy, and he says that he never felt for Dirk what Roxy feels for Dirk, and he doesn't think he ever will. Arrow Jake, Arrow Pan Jake is my life. And I don't necessarily care about Jake that much. Like, Jake is cool. He's just not like one of my like big favorite characters, but I will die for Arrow Jake. It's great. He doesn't want anyone to be attracted to him necessarily, like to fall in love with him or anything. Arrow Jake is my life. And then we have Dirk. And Dirk, like, we all know that Dirk's gay. Like, it starts off knowing Dirk's gay. But his struggle with, like, even though he is one of 2 people left on Earth, his struggle with the remnants of heteronormativity is still very, very important. And I think it's great that we were shown that. I don't think, like, the whole situation is great, but, like, it was very interesting to see. It was very interesting to talk about. And I think they handled it very well, where he stays true to himself, but he just wants what's best for Roxy, and he wishes he could give that to her. And it's so sad, and I love my poor gay Dirk, and it still surprises me that somehow Jane, I'm pretty sure, if I'm remembering correctly, does not realize Dirk is gay until, like, we get there in the text. So yes, but I love Dirk. And Calliope, I'm just throwing this out there, might be an ace lesbian. My personal take. I'm not as cemented in this as I am with Arrow Jake. But I think Calliope, knowing that she can't be attracted to anyone, but within Homestuck's framework, it's all about breaking those boundaries down. And, like, the society says that this is how you feel attraction to people, or this is how you can't feel attraction to people. And Homestuck gets rid of that. Homestuck says that that's bullshit. So yes, I feel like Calliope's a lesbian. She loves every girl, and she's great. And she just needs to realize that the feelings that she's feeling are romantic. And like you said before, Caliborn is gay. He might be Arrow gay. They might just be on opposite spectrums like that. But Caliborn's gay. But here is my probably final hot take of the night, because I think the most important question here, if I'm talking about a panel about gays and girls, who is the gayest character in Homestuck? Yeah, so I didn't even have to think about this. It's Jasper Sprite. Jasper Sprite is the gayest character in Homestuck. She, like, immediately just, like, tries to find a girlfriend. That is the first, well, she does other stuff technically, but, like, that's her priority, is she goes to find a girlfriend, and she goes and she, like, makes Nepeta Sprite, and she's like, yeah, so, we're on this date now. Are you okay with it being a date? Because it's fine if you don't want it to be a date, but it's a date, right? Like, we're on a date. This is going to be good, right? Like, we're dating. And I feel bad that she was so crushed whenever Dave Petta came to me, which I love Dave Petta. Don't get me wrong. Like, Dave Petta is great. But Jasper Sprite, like, she's sad. Like, she's a sad gay for a very little bit of time. We get to see into that because she's in this new session where Kanaya's there, but there's another Rose, so she can't get with the woman she loves, which is very, very sad. But she doesn't dwell on that for long. She just accepts her fate and finds another girl. But yes, fusing with Sprite erases Rose's inhibitions. Yes, it's very bad for her losing Kanaya, but just, Jasper Sprite is so gay. She is the gayest character. All she wants is a girlfriend, and I want her to have a girlfriend. I want her to have 1,000 girlfriends. I want her to have all the girlfriends. So, that's kind of, what I have here. I still have about 20 minutes. I ran through stuff a bit quicker because I started getting to things and I realized I did not want to read, like, numbers out loud forever, especially since I have no real visual. So if there's anything else you guys want me to talk about, let me know, and I can chat about that for a bit. We can talk about more ships. You guys can blow my mind with ships I never even considered. um, but yeah, because I think I was getting to a lot of the questions while we were going through. But yeah, so we have 20 minutes to just chill. Um, and yeah, sorry, now my Discord's like popping up. Let me go on. Do not disturb, so that won't happen. Nepeta. So I love Nepeta. Nepeta's great. She has galaxy brained ideas about who gets shipped with who. Um, and she and Terezi would be great together. Just from that one role playing scene they have together, it's fantastic. I love Nepeta. Um, Neprezi is great, and again, I'm a multi shipper, so I'm not saying like these characters have to be together and with no one else, but in that role play they were having, there were like signs of like flirting and everyone up and everything else, and it was great. I wish I had quotes. Technically, I do have quotes, but they are in that slideshow on shuffle. So, yes, Purim. I had canon as bi. I'm bi just for transparency. I'm bi and non-binary. So for most people, I'm like, yeah, you're also bi, because that's just how I had canon. I'm like, you're bi because I'm bi, and so I'm projecting myself onto all of you. So yes, um, Purim is bi, and Purim likes to spank asses. Like she just, sorry, that's getting a little bit not PG-13. I should be better than that. Fefnep, Fepeta, I forget what the sprite's called, but also great. Like I don't see much conversations. I would have to read like a fic to really get into it, but but that's also a great ship there because they're just so cute, and they also are powerful, but they're adorable. Um, let's see, and then we have let's see, not here for most of the stream. The Airden is just confused, baby fish boy. I love Airden. I think you're giving him too much or not enough credit, but yes, I think he was kind of stuck with his own priorities about things. But I just, yeah, I do like him in Carcat. I do like him in Solix, and yeah, so I loved them together. But he was kind of an asshole. And yeah, so Fafetta, they're just very cute, and Fafetta is very cute. And let's see, what are my thoughts on a quadrant Carcat in other Vandances? So yes, I do like that. How it's like Dave realizing he's gay and Carcat realizing he doesn't fit the quadrants. Um, and that works. I don't know if you mean like no other quadrants whatsoever, um, but or just like doesn't fit in the quadrant system, or I think it's really good. It's a really good headcanon. It's a really something that I really think should be explored more. And it goes for Kankri too. Um, I don't know as much about the Sufferer. Just the farther back we go in the ancestral history, I just don't know as much about. And Gamcat, I do like Gamcat. Obviously not with current Gamzee, but I did think that Gamecat was very cute. I'm more of, if I'm going to think about Carcat with other trolls, I do more think about Soulcat, because that's very cute. In Carcat at the beginning of Hivebent, being like joking, oh, you don't want to be my friend anymore, do you hate me, blah, 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 is very, very cute. And that gets reflected again whenever he's like, oh, now that the other kids are here, you're not going to be my friend anymore, Dave. And Dave's like, shut up. um, thank you. Thank you for loving my slideshow. I just got all my receipts out there. Lesbian Jade I could get behind. Again, personally, I had canon virtually everyone is bi because that's just how I roll. But Lesbian Jade is good. Fafetta Sprite and Roxy. I think that would be cute. But does Fafetta Sprite ever really talk? I don't know. Um, yeah, I can see the Sufferer being a very big disaster pan. But again, I don't know as much about the ancestors. Um, but yes. I'm trying to think of what characters, because again, I don't have a whole lot of headcanons for characters besides the one I listed, because I just kind of like let them do whatever. And other people have such good takes, like, because other people will get really into characters and have very, very good takes about the characters, and I love it. So I kind of let the people who are like obsessed with those characters take those takes, if that makes sense. Um, Jane Roxy, I think, could be good. They do have a lot of conversations together, not about boys. I think Jane just has to grow a little bit in a way she didn't into the epilogues. Because I think she has kind of the same problem John does, where it's like, we're all heterosexual here, right, guys? And she just has to get kind of kicked into the gay world. JoJo Stuck, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about. I have never watched JoJo. I appreciate it for what it is, and I feel like it's inevitable I'll get into it one day. I just can't talk about it because I don't know anything about it. And yes, her Imperious Condescension, which I always say wrong, has BDE for sure. I love her and am glad she's dead, but no, I love her. And Trans Dave headcanon's great. I have even less I have even fewer trans headcanons than I do other headcanons, but I mean, every trans dude or like non-binary masked person I know like loves Dave, so Dave is just a trans boy icon. The Crocker Egbert Het curse, I don't think I've heard it put like that. I think like as long as that doesn't imply they're heterosexual, but they just think they are, I think that's very good. They just they're so stuck in what society expects them to be, it's hard for them to see outside of that, and they don't really like have a lot of self-reflection. Aradia and Nepeta is great. They'd be very cute together, especially post like god tier Aradia and Nepeta is just fantastic because I love feral Nepeta, and I think Aradia and feral Nepeta would get along great. Oh, but yeah, no, I don't think any like character in Homestuck is heterosexual. I can't think of a heterosexual headcanon for any character. Um, yeah, and yeah, Compet is great. Let me see what else I really like. Thank you. I try to have amazing takes. Oh, that's why JoJo Stuck, because JoJo Stuck's coming up next, not asking me if I do JoJo Stuck. Um, yeah, John, I am not a homosexual. Egbert would like to have words. Who says I am not a homosexual multiple times in like a week? Not even that. It was like 2 days. Um, so it like no one goes around like, at 13 saying I'm not a homosexual. Yeah, you're not because you're bi, John. um, yeah, Hussey might be het, but I mean, does he really even count? I know he's technically a character, but yes. Um, Matuna is a spy is a good one. Again, I don't know as much about Matuna. Um, Equius Solux. I haven't heard Equius Solux. I have a hard time with Equius. I don't really ship him with much of anyone. um, Equius can be a good character, though. I think if I follow an Equius stand, I'd get behind it, just like I got behind a lot more Cronus. Um, yeah, you can say you're not gay a lot. You might be bi, sure. I mean, I used to be, like, a homophobic, like, 13-year-old, and look at where I am now. I used to think non-binary genders were stupid, and look where I am now. Like, what you think when you're 13 doesn't mean that's who you are. Um, Gamzee and Aridin. Now that is something I'd like to see. I think that would be great. um, Equicat, Equius, and Carcat. I can see Carcat with just about everyone, so I think Carcat would manage to find a way. So yeah, Carcat, I mean, he's an expert on romance, right? So Carcat can find a way to be with anyone, especially boys. Man, I'd never heard about Equicat. See, you guys are blowing my mind with this. This is why I love this panel. Or not just this panel, but this fandom. Yes, all Carcat ships are extra valid. Yeah, so since I kind of wrapped up with everything a bit early, and it looks like they're trying to set up for the next panel, and I'm not like in the middle of talking about anything, then I think I'm going to end this here. Thank you guys so much for joining me and asking me all these questions and telling me about all of these amazing ships, because you guys are great. Like, you guys are fantastic. If you want to hear more of my thoughts, I do have a podcast. You can find it at buzzsprout.com or like on any podcasting service, pretty much. It's Jax Does Homestuck. I also have a website, jaxdoeshomestuck.com. I have a link. I have like a billion links in the description, so check out the billions of links. Thank you so much for being very engaging with this, and I'm glad you guys seem to have a good time here. So yeah, so I will see you guys. I post every Wednesday. I don't know if I'll be posting this next week just because of this video, but yeah, thank you guys. This has been a lot of fun, and I hope we can do this again next year. And let me just figure out how to end my stream.